All right, see the red light. It's 6:32, gang. Today is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. And it's a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board. What should we have say the pledge tonight?
I'll put the flag up here. Hold on.
I don't remember who's done it or who hasn't done it.
I think Dave's turn.
Okay, Dave.
All right.
Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank
Well
you. That was supposed to be your last meeting with this board. Sadness. Okay, we did the pledge. Do you want to do roll call, Randy, please?
Yeah, Treasurer Johnson's excused and absent. Trustee LaRue,
Here.
Trustee Wiegand,
Here.
Trustee Marks. Trustee Marks.
Present.
Trustee Wiegand, or Trustee Everson, I mean.
Here.
Treasurer Johnson's absent and Clerk Rattari is here and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Kangas. Superintendent of Public Works Lenny Bodinas is here. Fire Chief Dan Shanahan is here. Legal Counsel Roger Zappa is here. And committee members present is Mike Springer.
Excellent, thank you. How about public comment? Do we have any emails, Randy?
I do not.
Okay. Is anyone listening in? Would they like to address the board before we get started? Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you. That takes off to number 3. So tonight's consent agenda consists of approval of regular meeting minutes of November 4th, 2020. Bills payable in the amount of $254,541.95. We do have a budget amendment that the clerk can read shortly. Sheriff's activity report from October, as well as the fire department activity report, the Downtown Development Authority special meeting notice and agenda for November 10th. And the watchtower information I received from Jehovah's Witnesses that I forwarded to the board. Charter communications regarding, guess what? Pricing changes. October's financial and treasurer's report.
Move for adoption of the consent agenda.
I'll support.
Okay, I'm gonna read the.
Yeah, I'll put up the budget amendment here. Hold on. Okay, I present to the board tonight budget amendment 2020-10, and the authorization is requested for additional funding for the solid waste fund, refuse collection fee garbage, first Wednesday. Rubbish drop-off has been requiring more containers than originally planned. The garbage increase reflects the cost of transporting recycling to Sawyer. The offset will come from contingency and the reserves. Also is an increase in the fire fund for CARES funding for the state, from the state, an amount of $21,000. In addition to revenue for the first responders pay, $25,972. The firefighting department is increased for unexpected CARES payroll and a self-containing breathing apparatus mask. Debt service reflects a principal payment on the fire hall. And that's what the highlight of that budget amendment is.
Okay, and we need a roll call for both, please.
Okay, well, actually just for the one motion, but that's fine. Trustee Marks,
Yes.
Trustee Everson,
Yes.
Trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
Trustee LaRue,
Yes.
Clerk Rattari is yes, and Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
Okay, and we just need approval of the remainder of the agenda unless somebody has any changes to make.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, another roll call, please.
Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Marks,
Yes.
trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
trustee Everson.
I think it was my name. Yes,
Yep.
you kind of cut out.
Trustee LaRue,
Yes.
Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
Thank you for that. I'm not aware of any conflicts of interest, so we can move on to 6A, privilege comment. I have a civic award to present with a little story. I know you're not gonna be able to read this, but I kind of want you to just look at it and be able to see it. Since we're not live, we sort of are. Mike, do you see your name on there? Yeah. I'll tell you what happened.
Mike, you're muted. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what happened.
no, okay.
This is something different. I found out this spring that there was a contest. And a company called Civic Plus teamed up with some other organizations that are trying to recognize volunteers.
Okay.
And I submitted your name and I wrote a little ditty about it. And you were in the top 100 of 2,500 applicants.
Yay.
Whoa.
I know, that's quite an achievement.
You know, no, well, go ahead.
Sorry. You did get the award, and I'll have to get this to you somehow. You got the certificate. In addition, the township has also been awarded, which you will see on the agenda later, a free website redo if we want it. And we'll talk about that later, but I just wanted you to know that the grand prize person that won got a $10,000 check for the township. So that's what I was shooting for, but free website's not so bad either, if we decide to do that. But I do want to read this. It's a little bit long, but I think the public needs to acknowledge what you've done. So this was a compilation. I had I checked with Jason and Manager Gerard, ex-Manager Gerard, to come up with this. So I wanted to make sure it was as comprehensive as possible. So the award itself says, Small Town America Civic Volunteer Award, Certificate of National Recognition, Michael Springer is hereby honored as a top 100 national award winner for outstanding civic volunteerism. See if I can get through this. All right, I wrote it on August 13th. Listing what Mike hasn't been involved with might be easier than listing his achievements. Mike was appointed to the Planning Commission 3 supervisors ago. Since then, he has been the most visual, consistent, and active volunteer the township has had in the last 15 years. Mike is a very modest and passionate man who believes strongly in the continued development and enhancement of Marquette Charter Township for the residents, businesses, and visitors. If he has not taken charge of the projects and billets listed herein, he has been one of the obvious participants. Mike has organized or participated in various task forces, co-wrote grants with staff for safe routes to schools, and numerous Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grants for our 2 parks, land acquisition and development. He worked with North Country Trail and the Nokemenon Trail Network, continuing the township's ongoing trail improvements. He's been through 3 master plans, 3 recreation plan updates, and the 4th bylaws update for the Planning Commission. He helped formulate the township's original road master plan and then assisted in its recent update. Mike has presented various forward-thinking zoning text amendments, coordinates the township's annual parks cleanup, and works with county organizations, bike, running races, and marathons. Mike might be most proud of his encouragement to and implementation of the township board becoming the first township to achieve complete streets designation in the Upper Peninsula. When, during a strategic planning process, the residents asked for the township to fix the roads, Mike, road committee secretary, assisted with a year-long successful $7 million+ township road millage project that will guarantee another 12 years of maintenance. This was a result of his involvement with the community survey taking place. That was a $10,000 township investment in discovering what the public was hoping to see in the recent future. Mike not only participated in, but financially contributed to a 2019 MDOT TAP grant match for a $2.5 million underpass of US 41, Highway 41 for a non-motorized safe crossing. He garnered $14,000 plus in contributions so the taxpayers wouldn't have to finance the match. He is always a participant in strategic planning processes and consistently spearheads the annual National Trail Day cleanup. Mike has recently partnered with staff in the Superior Watershed and Land Conservancy to garner grants for an EGLE/MDEQ non-point source pollution prevention program involving the EPA. The township is currently pursuing another project in the US 41 M28 corridor involving another grant he was involved with through the Michigan State University Engineering Department after completion of a year-long climate and health and adaptation project. As a result, he has joined the Downtown Development Authority, which hopes to make some comprehensive improvements to the township's corridor through a partnership with Michigan Department of Transportation and their 2021 resurfacing project through the township. Mike plans on retiring as Planning Commission Chair on 12/31/20, and we will miss his legendary PowerPoint presentations that always took more than 3 minutes, but reminded us of our history. An extra thank you to wife Michelle. So that's
She's the one that deserves the thanks. But Lynn, thank you for, that's very kind of you to, pick me out, because there's a number of volunteers that I've worked with, and you don't achieve stuff unless you got a team of good people and people you can work with and have trust your direction. And so I want to thank, and those people know who they are, I want to thank all of the people, board members, planning commission members, road rec committee members, everybody that I've worked with. It's been fun. That's been the fun part, is being involved as part of a team. And you got a great team there, and I'm going to miss them.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
So thank you for that. I feel like there's a lot of names that should be underneath that made this all happen, because it couldn't do it without
You
people.
deserve it.
Yeah, and I know Pete and Dave were the Three Musketeers. I know that they were a big part of it too, and they've done a ton of stuff, and it's not to diminish at all what they've contributed.
No, I know. But yes, they've been fun guys to work with.
And the only reason he really got this award is because Dave hollered at us so much, and Mike really shined.
Okay.
Well,
So
thank you very much.
You're
You're
welcome.
kind.
Now we can move
And
on.
it means a lot to me.
Thank you for your
I'll
help.
I'll come and pick that up.
Okay, it's here for you.
Thank you.
You're gonna be greatly missed, Mike. Thank you for everything you've done for the township.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Mike, for everything you've done also.
Thank you, Randy.
You've been around as long as me.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
So very, very kind.
thank you. All right, staff reports. Should we start with fire?
Yes, and I'll be brief. Congratulations, Mike, and deserved too. Very much deserved as a resident. Thank you for everything, and everybody else too, but thank you.
Thank you,
I
Dan.
will, yep, I mean that. I will be brief. Just to highlight, an emergency response one. We did our first one ever, hang a rescue for a dog that fell over a cliff in the Hidden Beach area. As a high note, I know we discussed last month, we were concerned about receiving that first responder hazard pay premium. We did receive those. We were awarded. We have not received the funds yet, but we know we'll be getting them. I'd like to say thank you to Walmart. They gave us a $1,500 donation for Fire Prevention Week. Lowe's donated several tools and equipment. And we have handed out approximately 100 smoke detectors that were received through My Prevention. We are not installing smoke detectors at this time or carbon monoxide detectors. Does anybody have any questions on anything? Got my report there. Tried to be brief.
Did the dog survive?
Yes, it did. Yes, the lady was very happy. Yeah, I was down about 20, 25 feet, and there was no way the dog was coming up without us. So
Wow,
it was good training for us still. So it worked out well.
good deal. Any questions for the chief?
No, he's doing a good job.
Okay, yeah, you've been busy.
How about cats in the tree?
2-3 orders, runs a day. Okay, Public Works, Lemmy, dazzle us. What's going on?
Yeah, I'd like to say congratulations and thanks to Mike too. Thank you. My report be real quick and brief too. Really quick, kind of going back to the stormwater non-point that was submitted, and we got it in on time. It was a very large task, very intricate grant, and our team did really well. Ryan did a great job, and everybody else that was involved in it. So we're just going to kind of keep our fingers crossed, and we'll see what happens here come this spring. So hopefully we will be on that list. For wastewater, I'm sure everybody's seen some of these stories coming out on the national news about sewers getting plugged with disinfectant wipes and baby wipes and all that kind of good stuff. We've started to see that phenomena here in Marquette Township now. Seems like everybody's putting those in the sewer. So we had a couple near misses here with sewers almost plugging up. Luckily, we do manhole inspection on a regular basis, and we caught those before they turned into a real bad situation. So yeah, we had a couple manholes that were just full of these disinfectant wipes and baby wipes and stuff like that. So that's one really big thing we're gonna have to try to get out to everybody is do not put those in the sewer, because those can cause a real big problem if they plug everything up. But we were able to get them cleaned up, got them out of there, and we had to suck some of them out and basically just kind of get them out manually, but we got it done. For the Center Street pump, of course, that's on the agenda here later on. If and when that does get approved, we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks before we get that pump shipped here and reinstalled. The pump that was ordered, the remanufactured pump, it's been working well, but we want to get that second pump in there as soon as possible, just as our backup. So we have been keeping track of everything, really doing an increased inspection, making sure everything is good there, because we just can't afford to have that pump go down. So we've been really making a big effort on that. To water, this last couple of weeks, we had multiple crew members of our water department when took their certification exams. We studied for previous 2 or 3 weeks before that. We had Zoom meetings and stuff like that with each other, going through test review and math and all that kind of good stuff. So hopefully that will pay some dividends, and we'll get everybody certified. It's probably going to be a few weeks before we know who passed. So we're going to be watching our emails to make sure that's when that comes through. We've also been keeping up on a lot of our safety training. We've been doing, trainings like personal protection, equipment, confined space, lockout, tagout and stuff. A lot of that's been primarily, just through video trainings and stuff that we find online, just trying to kind of keep everything up. So we're, because it's only a matter of time before we have to get out there and, repair something in a hole or go in a manhole or, use equipment and stuff like that. So we try to really keep up on that stuff. So we're safe, number one, the most important part, and that we meet all OSHA rules. Lastly, of course, with all this nice COVID stuff going around, we went back to the rotating shift with our crew again. So we have half of our crew in, half of our crew off. Main reason for that is we just can't, with such a small crew, we can't afford to have everybody out at one time, especially if something bad happens, like a main break or something like that. So we're really trying to ensure continuity. We do try to have meetings online and through conferences and stuff to keep everybody in the loop and know what's going on, and just keep everybody up to date on what's happening here in a water and sewer system. Of course, there's always somebody available 24/7 for emergency callouts or any kind of emergency. And if we do have something that's big enough, like a main break or something like that, everybody is available to come in, and it's all hands on deck to try to get the problem fixed. So that's all I have. Anybody else have any questions?
Pete?
John, Lenny, do you put any notice in the water bills or anything about the wipes and stuff like that?
I'm just gonna recommend that.
We haven't. I know there's. I believe we have had some things put out. I can't remember if something went on Facebook or not about it, but that is definitely a good idea. I know that a lot of the media, I've seen stories, been trying to get the word out. Not to put that in, but yeah, that's definitely something that we can investigate to do just to get the word out, so people know that can really cause some bad problems here if they plug up.
You can always tell them the cost of the new pump, how much that costs too, to get their attention.
Right. Well, the biggest thing that we're looking at is also from a public health standpoint. We do not want any kind of sewage on the ground. I mean, that's like what we strive. We do not want that. So, I mean, that's one of the really big things, and as well as the expense of the pumps when they get wrapped up in there. That's not good either.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Anything else for Lenny? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Bob. I didn't realize that our assessor was on vacation this week. I asked her if she could zoom in and give us an idea of what was happening. I didn't bring my notes because I thought maybe she would be here, but we've had a couple more tribunal. Maybe Roger, if you want to give us well, you can do that probably in your update. Just give us an update on the tribunal.
Sure.
Sorry, I thought maybe that was Ernie. Okay, let's do that. We'll kind of include that in your report. So go ahead then with yours.
Well, basically, there have been a number of new tax tribunal appeals. We've answered all of those, responded to all of those, except for one that we're hanging on to because the petitioner, that's the party, the taxpayer, is actually in default because they didn't comply with some of their filings. Typically, the tax tribunal provides an opportunity and sets aside those defaults, but we've been watching daily. And at this point, the tax tribunal has not set that aside. So we're waiting to file our response until we receive some type of an order from the tax tribunal. A couple of other ones that from last year we have received now the general call dates and deadlines, which will require the township to evaluate on a case-by-case basis whether or not to proceed with an appraisal or not on the individual properties at issue. Other things that have crossed my desk include, we reviewed the recycling grants as well as the fire department grants within the last month. We've had one ongoing zoning issue that we've been working with the zoning administrator on a periodic basis for a potential two developments, and both of them are in the Westwood Mall. a question on the special assessment allocation that I issued an opinion on, and which we'll be talking about a little bit later tonight. A number of just questions and details on how do we comply with, or how do the recent developments in the COVID situation and the health department orders and so forth impact the township, including us doing this by Zoom rather than in person and so forth. I did review the DDA bylaws just the other day that were sent for my review. And of course, there's been a question or two on the procedure involved in the board vacancy that we now have when we had 3 trustees elected to 4 positions, essentially, so thereby leaving a vacancy. And this is not something that comes up real regularly, so I'll have some comments on that later as well.
Yeah. Any questions for the attorney? Okay, thanks, Roger. We'll hear from you shortly. So, community linkage, I didn't have anything. I don't know if anybody's got any comments on that. What are you hearing from the public? Anything? Pete?
I had a call from a lady about the leaf pickup. And she's wishing that we could have the lots closer in the township so they can haul her leaves. She has a hard time. She's elderly, and she says it's for all the senior citizens. You know, that 492 is a little bit of a trip for those, and especially if they got any amount of leaves. And they'd like to see us find a lot in the township here so they can drop them off like they did before. So it's just becoming a problem for the seniors. And that's what she wants me to ask her. So I said I'd ask and see what we can do for next year. Some kind of a better leaf pickup or something for them, and I'll bring it up.
That a million times over the years,
Yeah.
but okay. Anything else from anybody? No? Okay, sounds good. How do we have to accept Michael's resignation? I guess I don't want to, but we do have that, and number 8A is his letter of resignation from the Planning Commission and a couple other committees that he's on. So I don't know if we need to take a formal motion to accept it, or if it's just, you know, for the record. Roger, what do you think? Because it's a paid commission. I figure it's more important than just a committee.
There's no harm in doing a formal motion to accept the resignation.
Okay, then I'll do it since he was my appointment anyway. I reluctantly accept the resignation of Mike Springer from the Planning Commission and his assorted committees.
I'll support.
Thanks. Any comments?
Just thank you, Mike, again for all your years of service, and we'll still see you around. I don't think you're disappearing on us, but.
I'm going to vote no. Hey, if we all vote no, Mike, then maybe we can keep you for a while. What do you think?
Yeah, probably not. I made a
No?
promise to my wife.
Yeah, I
She's
think
been great for the past 15 years, putting up with lots of time not being available. So
Those damn promises.
I know.
John?
I just wanted to say that Marquette Township boards, through the years of Mike's service, have had the benefit of Michael Springer's colloquialisms that kept us on track. And I'm sure that everybody knows that we need to appreciate that as a tremendous effort on his part. And a great big thank you to Michael for his service. That's it.
Thank you, John. That means a lot.
Thanks. Pete?
I hate to see him go, but you know, anytime you deal with Mike, he made it fun, made it exciting. And we had, not only did he get the job done, but the volume of his ideas are just out there, you know, they're just nonstop. But the thing is, he worked very hard, and you enjoyed being there with him working. So thank you, Michael.
Pete, it wouldn't be nearly as much fun if you hadn't been there. So I think you're the guy that kept us laughing.
Yeah, you need somebody to beat up on. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Pete.
Okay, then we just need a roll call, please, Randy.
Trustee, or excuse me, Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee LaRue,
Yes.
Trustee Wiegand,
Yeah, reluctantly, yes.
Trustee Everson,
I also am very reluctant to say yes, but if that's the way Mike wants it, then I will say yes.
and Trustee Marks.
Yes.
And the motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
You know, I just got to say this, you know, all the boards have been really good to me. There was most often when I went before the board for your support, I got unanimous support. So once again, thank you for unanimous support.
You're welcome. Okay, how about some committee updates? Mr. Dave?
Oh, we have that. The road committee for November the 4th was canceled. The next one is scheduled for December 1st. The rec committee for October 20th was canceled, and we just had a rec committee meeting tonight, so that update will have to come at the next meeting. The planning commission is the only other group that had any activity, and that was from a November 11th planning commission meeting. And we had 3 things on our agenda of substance. That was the zoning text amendments for medical and adult use recreational marijuana, zoning text amendments for the mobile food trucks, and a recommended medical and adult use marijuana board ordinance that were being considered and hoped to have action taken on them, but we had not heard back from the county commission yet, and their 30 days doesn't expire until near the 1st of December. So we moved all of those items to the next scheduled planning commission meeting, which is December the 9th. And that is just about it.
Okay.
We had some discussion about some ongoing problems with some lighting issues at Fox Chevy, but we talked about that pretty openly and freely, and that's in the hands of our zoning administrator.
Okay. Any questions for Dave? Okay, so Pete, we're thinking we're still gonna have the tree lighting next week, correct?
I'd like to turn that over to John, because John talked to Todd today, and you might have more information.
Thanks, Pete. I guess everyone knows that we're in as close to full shutdown mode as you can be because of the COVID-19 virus. And if I could count the number of changes to the plan the events committee has had to make to host this event since my participation on the committee, which goes back to shortly before Randy retired, I would say I wouldn't be able to count those changes on 2 hands. Obviously, the situation has been very fluid. We printed flyers that basically were still going to allow kids to come and get their photos taken with Santa. And this was as late as last week. We know that the governor's press conference on Sunday changed that. We can't have gatherings greater than 25 people outdoors. So we simply can't have a gathering. That being said, we are not going to cancel the tree lighting. We are not going to tell Santa he can't come to Marquette Township. It's my understanding he's still going to arrive on a township fire truck. but the kids are all going to have to stay in the cars with their parents. They'll be able to drive through to see Santa, wave to him, hopefully get a candy cane or something and drop off their letters to Santa so they can let him know what they want this year. I know Pete was very strong about this way back when community days were canceled, that we could not cancel Christmas for the kids. And it is our highest priority to continue to have this event without a gathering, but allowing the kids to still come and see Santa and drop off their letters. So that is the plan as of today. Like I said, there will be no gatherings, but all of the kids can still come and see Santa, and until the candy's gone, you know, they'll all be able to get something. So.
Okay, so nothing inside the mall. Not doing-
Correct. That's been gone for probably a month or more.
Okay, just want to make sure, because we only meet twice a month roughly, so whoever's listening in, so they know what's happening. And this is next week, correct? Date and time?
Next week, Tuesday, and Santa will be arriving around 6 o'clock to light the tree. We still need to put the sheriff on standby because we know the Grinch has had a habit of trying to come and steal Christmas on us, and we are not going to let that happen in 2020. 2020 has given us enough. We're not going to let the Grinch get away with it this year.
Good deal. Good to hear. Okay,
Shackle 'em.
anything else on that? Pete?
We have some good sponsors to help us with this, but it's just amazing after working for how many 20, 30 years with people putting on these different events, not for the township, but other places I've been with. And this one business stands out. I talked to him before the whole thing got started. And I just mentioned to him about Santa Claus and what we'd like to do. And Mike over at Super One, he just count me in. And I said, I don't know what we're going to do. He said, count me in. So I just like to tell him publicly how much we appreciated that. And it's nice to have people working together, and we have a lot of business people the same way, and sometimes we don't recognize them. But in this one here, just the way he said it, and it's so nice if you ever planned anything to have somebody like that, just say, just count me in, whatever you need. So I want to thank them and thank all the other people who help donate and or sponsor these events.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. Okay, so tonight's agenda also includes draft committee reports from the fire department business and officers meetings of October 12th. Next up is to schedule a budget work session. We need one more meeting. We don't need one more meeting. I was trying to schedule one more meeting before the end of the year. We can take a consensus of the board if we choose, and direct the manager to go ahead and put the notice in the paper and show the amounts that we've got. We know that we just got the health insurance numbers, and the manager and accountant have been crunching those to see what the difference is. We are going to save some money there. So it's kind of up to the board if you want to try to meet after the first week in December maybe and go through any details or questions or finalizations. We know that the accountant was really busy with the election and wasn't able to get the numbers we were trying to do a meeting last week. So Randy, you had your hand up. What's your pleasure?
Yeah, I talked to the manager today, and we do need to get the public hearing scheduled, which I would hope would be December 1st. So the budget hasn't really changed that much. I guess it's more solid now than it has been. The only changes that I have in the budget is we will have an election next year. So my budget will go up 5,000 for an election. That's it in the elections department. There'll be no utility, water and sewer changes. The only change will be $1.50 increase on solid waste, which is not coming directly from us. It's from the landfill. We're just the pass through basically. And you know, and we could still change the budget after that public hearing, but we need to schedule that for December 1st. So if we had basically a consensus tonight on a consensus budget, that would really help the manager move forward on that. And we can still change the budget after that. It doesn't lock anything in, but we need to adopt the budget by December. Is it public hearing or John or what is it by the 15th? Is the public hearing or adopt? I think it's the public hearing by the 15th, right?
Correct.
And timelines are starting to get, and we have to have that in the paper 7 days, the public hearing 7 days before the meeting it's going to happen on. So if we're going to do it on December 1st, our timelines are getting kind of crunched.
John, you want to add to that?
So I agree with Randy, and I want to thank him too for helping me stay on track on this. Obviously, he's been through this many more times than I have. I haven't missed a deadline yet, but I very well could have if Randy hadn't been here. So I greatly appreciate that. And quite honestly, we can have as many budget work sessions as you feel are necessary. But if you don't feel we need to have one, you still have the public hearing where you can discuss this budget as much as you want before taking any action. And you don't have to take any action that night. You can still wait until the following meeting or even have a special meeting later in the month if you're still not happy. So you have plenty of opportunity. It's all a matter of what you want to do.
So we could plan the public hearing for the next agenda. It'd be December 1st. It's the new board. And we'd have, excuse me, we'd have new numbers from you and Lois and final copies and kind of go from there and see what we decide to do.
Yeah, we can adopt the budget then on the 15th, Lynn, also.
So not worry about a special work session right now. That sound reasonable?
I don't think we need to.
Okay. Okay, so we will not do another work session, at least not right now. We won't schedule it now. Okay? Sounds good. Consider website redesign by Civic Plus. Well, I did the beginning part of that. John and I did meet with the gentleman who represents Civic Plus that is providing the opportunity to have a new website redesign. I did get some of the information from Lois yesterday on the cost. John's going to give us an update on that. And I sent you the links, I'm pretty sure, the contract. Conversing with the gentleman's name is Richard. Conversing with him in the last few days, getting all the information up to date. So I'm sorry it wasn't in the packet, but at least you've seen it. There are 5 templates that are available for this free website for the year. They will design and put together 50 pages for us. Let's see, anything over that would be $250 a page. That includes web hosting, and I'm going to pull up that email that he just sent me right before when we started. They're flexible. The company's flexible as you have full access to all parts. Ongoing training, support, and webinars are included at no additional costs. And we would not see a cost for this until the year is up in sometime in 2021. And if we choose to continue, it would be $1,900 for that year. So John did some number crunching today after we visited and came up with a little bit more information for us. So if you want to go through that, John.
Sure. So thanks again to Clerk Rattari and to Andra for helping me do the research to figure out how we got where we are with our current website. This goes back to 2015. And back then we signed an agreement with 906 Technologies to develop our website for us. And that was at a cost of $6,000. Since then, we've been paying about $370 a year, which is based on a monthly charge for WordPress and then a domain name charge. And the WordPress is $28 a month, and then the annual cost is $35 a year. Now that $35 a year is included in that $1,900 for subsequent years. And of course, it would be free of charge to us in year one if we go forward with this. The new plan would be free for the first year, $1,900 a year for the second year, and then there's a 5% increase each year after that. So comparing year to year, how we got to where we are today versus how we would get to an equivalent time period under a new agreement based on what's being considered here, it would take just over 4 years to break even. And after that, then the new agreement would actually be significantly more expensive. Having said that, if we aren't reconsidering a website redesign every 5 years, we are going to be obsolete. I mean, that's basically where we're at this point. It's not to say we don't have a nice website. It just needs a lot of improvements to make it more functional for the end user. And I think this Civic Plus plan would provide some of that cleanup that we're looking for, a searchable website. Randy and I were just talking about this today, that you can't necessarily search for anything on there. And I know other websites locally that do have that searching feature, so you can look for anything under a certain word or phrase, and it'll pull up every document on that site or every link on that site. You might be able to do it, but it's not very easy with the current site. So I guess what you really need to consider is, do you want to continue with the status quo, or do you want to try to fix some of the things that are currently lacking on the website we have?
Okay, with 906, it's $100 an hour to make changes.
Yeah, so according to that, after year 5, 8 hours of time from 906, we would break even. Now, granted, we're looking at 5 years in the past versus 5 years in the future, so you have to consider cost of living adjustments and all that, but that 5% is baked into the new price.
Okay, Dave?
Yeah, I won't be so kind as John. I think our current website is terrible to work at. You can't find anything. I think we're several years overdue for a new website. One question, John, is if they got this contract, how long before you see their product?
What did I tell you today, John?
I don't remember that detail.
Let me look.
I think, Len, when I was reading it, I think it was like a month or two, they would get it all done.
Yep, it says.
Okay, so I guess I was just wondering if it was going to be after our first year before we see one.
Well, I would hope that the first year would be a full year once it's actually
That's what I'm.
usable.
Okay, yeah, that was my follow-up question. When does the free year start? And my other question or comment would be, is that when you get this, I mean, obviously they're going to present something and it's going to be, what do you think of this something? And I think the worst thing that we can do is have us or staff sit around and decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think you need to drag some bodies in from out on the street and ask them if it's easy and if they understand it. Because if it doesn't make sense to the average resident, then you're just wasting $1,900 a year. So I really think when you do your evaluation of their product, do you want this or do you want some changes? You need to bring some people in off. If you have to do an ad hoc committee or whatever you have to do to get some people in to evaluate the website that is not used to it. That would be my suggestion. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't proceed with this, because you can always, with 60 days notice, if things go awry, you can always put them on notice and move out of it. So I don't know why we wouldn't just move ahead with this.
Well, and I didn't expect a motion tonight, like I told you, because it's a big decision and it's it's a commitment. We did have Roger look at it. I sent you that letter. And then initially I kind of agreed with him because I didn't know this company from Adam, but I did look at 4 of their, I didn't talk to anybody because I thought that might be premature, but I looked at 4 of the websites that they've done over the years, and they're pretty snazzy and easy to use. That was Manhattan, Kansas, Garland, Texas, Royal Palm Beach, Florida, and Charleston, South Carolina. They're all different. But this is a big company. They have 350 employees. They just do municipal websites. So they make a lot of their money from the bigger cities and counties and everything else. But they said typically it runs upwards of $7,000 a year for a lot of these companies to have them do or run their websites, not just to develop them, but to actually, that's the cost. So the 1,900 for us is a lot more conservative. Plus we get the free one. They had to pay to have theirs designed, John?
If Randy would let me share my screen, I've got the Garland, Texas website open.
Yeah,
Okay, I will let you do that. Hold on here. Okay, you should be able to now, John.
Do you have the map too, showing the 40 states that they are in?
So can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right, so at face value, the top looks very similar to ours, other than they've got a very professional photo right off the bat. They've got a link right up at the top for residents, and that's where you find anything that any resident would possibly be looking for about the community. I don't know what their bond program is, city services, go green, or go blue maybe, I don't know. Neighborhoods, parks and facilities, residents, things to do. Here's all of your business links. Here's your government links. And you can see just in those 3 tabs alone, I've shown you more links to various different things than we probably will ever be able to imagine putting on there. That being said, we're at year minus point something right now. So, and then how do I apply for a permit, contact? So what I like about this in particular, you don't have to go to the department to find out how to apply for a permit. What if you're a brand new first time homeowner and you want to apply for a permit and you don't know what planning and zoning is? How do you know to go to planning and zoning to find the zoning compliance permit? Here, you go right to a building permit or whatever kind of permit it is you need, and you don't need to know the department. So there's some nice little features here. And then over off to the side, you can see notify me. You can sign up for just about any kind of alert, news flash, calendar events you want. You could flood your inbox. I think to maintain or keep a website up to this speed, you probably need somebody dedicating a lot of time to it. So maybe we don't go quite to that extent, but there's a lot of ways that we can share information with the public just through the website, where they only have to go there one time, subscribe to whatever it is they want to choose. Here's some videos. You can probably have links right to the YouTube videos from your meetings there. City news. And then they have alerts there too. And I like the fact that they're right there on the left-hand side for you to see as soon as you get on the website. But going back to the home page, this is mobile ready. So all you have to do is just keep scrolling down and look, there's their COVID stuff. If you went to our website, I don't know if you'd see anything COVID related, but I feel like that's the only thing I've been dealing with for about a month now. So They've clearly got a lot of effort into their website. Here's some of their keeping up with us, their latest news, upcoming events. There's the calendar. And of course, you can lay it out in whatever order you want, I think. So you could have your calendar first if you wanted, or the news first. And then here's your social media availability, some of their campaigns they've got going on, build Garland, make your Mark Garland, that kind of thing. So, and then here's the various social links as well. That's just one example. And I would say, while maybe I wasn't as critical of our website, I do like some of the features on this one in particular, just the way it's laid out as an example.
Thanks, John. That's kind of what I did too.
I see Dave's hand up.
Oh, yeah, I see it now. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that, I think all the board's looking for tonight, or John's looking for tonight, is just a board consensus to move ahead with this and see where it gets us. We're not to the point of making a motion on anything.
I agree.
Yeah, just to whether you want to
You
explore
have
it.
my yes.
Okay. I
You
did see
need a consensus to go ahead.
whatever you want. If you want a motion or just consensus is fine.
Yeah, I just don't think there's anything to move on right now. It's just a matter of saying we like the initial presentation and move it forward and see where it goes from here. We still got to put together a proposal and all that stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work to do, but I think it is encouraging with what we've seen. And so for one person anyway, I'm encouraged by it, and I think consensus to go ahead should be okay.
I did find it says it takes 8 weeks to build. And we have 5 different formats to choose from. And if we want to do something off of that, then there's just an additional charge, but otherwise everything is totally set. And they have, they belong to a bunch of different groups. The 1,000 Points of Light have worked with them, National Association of Counties, National Association of Townships and Towns, Main Street America, the National Volunteer Fire Council, Small Town America Civic Volunteer Awards. That's just what they sponsored. So 8 weeks, they're saying it takes to build. So what I'll have to find out too is whether it's, like you said, you know, an annual thing, January to December, or if we can do it. He thought that we might have to do something by the first quarter of next year in order to continue to assure them we're going to do it, you know, because it's free. So they got to set the time aside to do it and work with us. So we can get more information. But we have 24/7 support too, which is a real perk over 906, not to diss them, but we can just call them up and, you know, 9 o'clock at night if we're having a problem. So.
Plus, they provide free training to whoever needs it. So we don't have to rely on one person that probably wasn't trained properly in order to maintain the website we have.
Yeah.
And Andrew would be part of that discussion too, if she's going to be the main one updating it and stuff. She would have it. And Randy's the guru too, as far as I can see on our group, maybe even Mike with the websites and internet and stuff as far as advice. But have any of you had the public call you and tell you how bad it is, the website is? I have too. Yeah, that was embarrassing. I can't find this, I can't find that. So anyway.
Well, Lynn, when we built it 5 years ago, it was probably a lot better than what we had. Now it's aged and probably time for a redo.
Yeah. It's beautiful, but it is hard to work. Pete, you had your hand up?
Yeah, you know, the people, when you're talking about different things, and we've always been very progressive as far as doing some of the projects. And we always wonder, how do we get the information out? And I really like this concept of this because it seems simple. And we have aged residents, and a lot of them don't go on it, and that's where they have their problems trying to get around it. And this one looks like it's pretty easy. So I think it'd be a benefit for our township to do something like that so we can get the information out in a timely manner.
Yeah. And then be able to inform them in a different manner too.
Yes.
Okay, so we have consensus. John and I'll see what else we can find. If you have specific questions, why don't you just email them to John and, if you think of stuff after the meeting, and we'll get a hold of Richard. We did Zoom once already to get the initial information, so we can do it again.
Will they tell us when the virus is leaving us?
Yeah. Okay, you have what you need, John? Oh, sorry, Dave?
Yeah, just one more comment about I mean, I know you're picking some people that are probably well versed in what they're looking for there and ease of use with Andrea and Randy and Mike, but you really need to get some residents involved in that when it comes to evaluating how it's being used and stuff. They're the ones with all the complaints. I mean, everybody here just quit using it because they can't find what they want. There's residents out there that still think they can find what they're looking for and they just can't. So you really need to get them involved, and so they can sit down and put their 2 cents worth in on it. Because if you can get an old guy like me in there that's not been involved in the township, and he can go on the website and wander around through there and find out what he's looking for without getting totally frustrated and shutting it off, then you got a good product. So, Lynn, if you can find what you're looking for, it doesn't really mean anything because you're supposed to be able to.
Yep.
The same with Mike and Randy. You need to find people that don't know what they're looking for that can come in and find it easy to use.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was thinking more of them for helping us to see what we need to put in there too.
Yeah, the one we have now is very difficult to update and very tedious. So if we can even improve that efficiency, that would be better.
Mhm. Okay. John, are you good with us? We'll figure something out, hey?
Yeah, I think so. And then the only other thing we need to do, I think, is loop back with Attorney Zappa to make sure that any of the concerns he raised are properly addressed before we move forward with a formal recommendation.
Yep. Okay, let's see if we can have something before the next meeting. All right, thank you for that. Consider purchase of new Landia, is that how you pronounce it? Landia pump? Is that Lenny or John who wants to lead the way?
I'll let Lenny have that one.
Okay,
Okay, this is just basically for the second Center Street pump. So as you guys probably remember, the first pump we actually sent off to get repaired because it was feasible to get that one repaired. It was basically everything was replaced in it, but it was a few $1,000s cheaper than a brand new one. The second pump, when we sent that off, it was determined that basically everything cooked in that pump. So it just wasn't feasible to repair. I mean, basically it was a few $100s cheaper to repair it than just to buy brand new. So this would basically be a brand new pump for the second Center Street lift station.
were you able
Or
to?
second pump for the Center Street lift station.
Sorry. Were you able to save any of the parts from the broken one?
I did talk to them. They pretty much said it's just scrap. I'm gonna make sure that there's sometimes a bracket and stuff on them and make sure all that comes back with the new pump. But I mean, we can have the pump back if we want, but it's everything is shot in it. Just from the sewage that leaked into the casing and everything.
That's too bad. Randy?
I talked to Manager Kangas about this and he said there's no sense to fix it. The cost is very minimal just to get a new one. So we just, I think, get a new one. So I would like to move to approve the purchase of a replacement Landia pump for the Center Street lift station in the amount of $15,844.
I'll second.
Pardon.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Just like to add one thing. I know when we first started talking about the issues we have at Center Street, we said we were going to do a full analysis of style or manufacture of pumps. Once we had to make that emergency decision to repair the first one, that kind of tied us to this manufacturer to some extent. That's not to say that in future projects, we won't require American-made pumps. I think that's probably what we need to do, so we don't have to worry about freight coming overseas, especially if you have manufacturing issues like we've had this year. So I guess I just want everyone to know that as we head into future projects, we will be considering that fully. At this point, though, we need to get that second pump in to have the redundancy in that system in case the remanufactured pump fails on us again. So just wanted to add that.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, roll call, Randy?
Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee LaRue,
Yes.
trustee Marks,
yes,
trustee Everson,
Yes.
trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
and supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
Hey, Lenny, how long is it going to take to get that in and get it up and running?
This particular pump is actually manufactured in Denmark. So I think the lead time is 6 to 8 weeks to get it here. Once we get it here, it's just a matter of scheduling an electrician and getting our guys down there, and we'll be able to have it in within a couple days of receiving it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Update on MTA video subscription for staff, employees, and committees. Mr. Kangas.
The subscription has been paid for. Anyone that has a current MTA account through the township can log in at any time. And anyone else that does not currently have an account, we need to make sure that we get those individuals set up so that they have access to that training. I'm trying to work with Andra in her limited time that she's spending here now to make sure that we have that list complete and up to date so that we can get that into MTA and make sure that anyone that is eligible to use this training can get the free access.
And then do you happen to know how we're notified? Do they just, is it when they send their township focus or something and there's links, then we can just go to them and sign up? Or do we get special notices? Did they say?
I got an email, but I'm the one that registered the township for it. So maybe what I need to do is find that email and probably forward it to everybody, but I need to make sure I touch base with MTA again, because the first step we had to do was make sure our roster was up to date. And Andra and I still have to get through that list.
Okay, well, and it'll update shortly anyway with people coming on and going off and.
Right. Yeah, so maybe we don't have to rush on it until we get that list updated with all the changes coming, but either way, we'll try to get that finalized ASAP so that we can maximize that benefit.
Okay, I'm excited to try that and to be able to use that as a real tool for everybody that's involved. It'll be good.
Hey, Lynn?
Any questions? Yeah, Dave?
Yeah, I think what might require a lot of updating is, isn't this available to all the committee members and commissioners and all that? I'm sure they don't have an MTA account. I think there's probably a good share of the board members that don't even have an MTA account. So you might want to enlarge that list quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what we really need to do, is make sure the list covers everyone who is eligible so that they can create an account. And that might probably be the most cumbersome part, is actually going through the registration process for a MTA account. But once you get through that process, then you just go to the website. I haven't tried it yet because I have some other more critical continuing education I have to get done before some free training I got expires. So that will be added to my list sometime, hopefully this winter.
It's not hard to set up an account. You just put in your email address. So it'd be ldurant@marquettetownship.org. Give it a password and you're done. So it's pretty easy if none of you have gone to the MTA website already, you know, I mean, the board at least.
Yeah, the key there though is making sure that you are attached to the right municipality so that when you go to take the training,
Mhm.
it's eligible to you, or you're eligible for it.
But I mean, if just to set up the MTA account, and I'm sure it links to that anyway, it would, you know, so they can verify that you're the right person.
Yeah, that's true, but keep in mind there is another Marquette Township,
Yes,
and
sir.
that's the community I was attached to when I first registered here.
Oh, okay.
So there are some little snafus just by coincidence.
Sure. Yeah, we're the only charter one. Okay. Anything else on that?
Hopefully we'll be able to get our money's worth out of that. I can't imagine we won't if everyone that is eligible gets a chance to get in there and see some of the training.
Great tool for our new people coming on. That'll be great. Okay, legal update on upcoming open board seat. Kind of a nice segue. Mr. Roger.
Well, as we discussed at the last meeting, you have a vacancy and a trustee vacancy, and you've got 45 days to make an appointment. The statute that governs that indicates that it's 45 days from when a vacancy occurs. And that might sound like a simple enough question, but there is no case for, and the statute itself doesn't specifically indicate, is that does the vacancy occur at noon on November 20 when the term expires for the current board, or did that vacancy occur when 3 people were elected to fill 4 spots? The conservative conclusion on that is that there is no vacancy occurring until November 20th. So you have 45 days beginning November 21st being day 1. As we also discussed, there's a mechanism in place under the statute of what happens if you don't do anything. And that's a situation in which the county clerk becomes involved and notifies the chairs of each political party, who then select a nominee for a special election. That's not a route you want to go down for a number of reasons. The question also, and then the question came up at the last meeting, how long is that appointment for? And I had indicated that, in my opinion, from reading the statute, that it was until that the person appointed would have to run at the next general election, which is next November of 2021. I did a little more research on that, and I also conferred with Linda Talsma, the county clerk, and Clerk Rattari was involved in that discussion as well, and she concurs with that. So you will have to have the person who's appointed would, well, if they want to continue on the board, would have to run. Anyone will have the opportunity to file petitions and run, even if there is no primary involved. If 3 people or 5 people, if anyone should be so lucky to have that many interested applicants apply, they would all be placed on the ballot at the next general election. So to sum that up, basically, although you have the argument that a vacancy has already occurred in the sense that you only have, you know that you have 3 trustees to fill 4 trustee positions. I believe the conservative approach is to wait until your next meeting or either December meeting to actually fill that position, because then you have, you're acting within the 45 days of when the vacancy is occurring from. You don't want to wait until the first meeting in January, because at least by my quick count, I think that's day 46. So you have plenty of time. Now, the board also has the prerogative of determining how it's going to attract people to apply. There is no mandatory posting requirement. There is no mandatory requirement that people submit resumes or that the board conduct interviews. All of those are options, but that's a board decision on how they would wish to proceed.
Okay, Randy?
The only requirement is you're a qualified elector.
Correct.
So would we want to put this item, say we wanted to start December 1st and not wait too long for the second meeting? We put this on the agenda and ask for volunteers, or, I mean, you said everything's up to us, but would that be a recommendation? And so whoever had an interest could come to that meeting and say, you know, I'm interested, would you consider me? Or I guess what's the least?
That's a viable option, keeping in mind that you're in the midst of a COVID pandemic. So coming to the meeting means plugging into YouTube. But again, you've got all kinds of options in terms of whether you want them to submit something in writing or to just let people know. By people, let the board know. And if that's not in writing, I don't know how you really become aware of them. So typically you would want something in writing saying I'm interested, and how comprehensive the board wants that to be is up to the board. And whether the board wants to conduct interviews is up to the board. Now, I guess tonight would be a good time to make that decision, because if you do want people to tune in to the Zoom meeting, then this is really the only opportunity to tell them that.
Sure. John?
Yeah, when we say, I don't know that you can make that decision tonight. You have to wait until the board that was elected would have a meeting. That's the board that's going to make the decisions on who and how it will take place. Not this board. So
This board can make that decision on just what the process will be.
We don't have to.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is our attorney saying that this board will make a decision on how the process will take?
Yes, you will not be making a decision on who the successful.
Well, why wouldn't you wait until the board is seated that got elected that makes that decision?
You can do that, then you're going to be running into the issue of how close do you want to gamble with that 45-day deadline.
You can, Roger, you can do that after the 20th.
We call a special meeting.
You can.
Yeah, I think that you're getting into a slippery slope when you're talking about a board that's here today would make the decision on how the other board would act. You want to wait until the elected board has that decision to make. And it can be made anytime after the 20th.
It can be, but you only have 45 days, and there's nothing.
45 days, yeah.
Just from a legal perspective, that's all I'm giving you.
Well, I know, but
nothing illegal. Hear me out. There is nothing illegal about this board making that decision on the procedure. I am not recommending that this board make that appointment. That's a critical distinction. I don't want that distinction to be lost.
Okay, but you did stay with making the decision that this board could decide how the procedure could take place.
That is correct.
Okay, I don't agree with that.
Okay, Dan?
I have to agree with John. I mean, I think we owe it to the new board coming in to make all the proper calls on this. We've got 45 days, and if we have to call a special meeting, we call a special meeting. We do it all the time. So I think we have to at least let the new board get seated, and then we will make the decision. And then if we want to call people in for interviews, we don't have anybody pounding on our door right now to do it anyhow. So let's just wait until after the new board is seated and go from there.
Okay, so we could call a meeting in between this one and the next and make it for like Monday or Tuesday that.
It
We do
can
it all-
come anytime after the 20th.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
Unless you want to do it Friday afternoon. Can do that.
After the 20th.
Well,
After-
wait a minute, we're busy on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
let's do it next week.
Yeah.
okay.
We're gonna be sworn in. There's no
But-
rush.
But this is my comment on it. This is my time. There's only going to be one change in the new board, which is trustee Winslow will be. So we're basically the same other than trustee Winslow. So, you
She's
know,
coming in. She's
yeah, and
coming
she-
in, but we also have 2 board members that would be voting on it that are going to be going out.
correct.
So
Or they can abstain. But I mean, it doesn't matter to me. We can have a special meeting next week. It doesn't really matter to me. It makes a little bit more work for me, but that's fine.
Roger, would it make a difference? Probably not based on what you said, but I'll ask the question anyway. If one of the 2 who did not survive the election decided that they wanted to be reappointed, does that make a difference time-wise or process-wise?
No, either way, it's up to the board on what the procedure is going to be or when you hold your meeting. The appointment should be after the vacancy occurs.
Sure, okay. So do we want to schedule a meeting right now that we can meet a special meeting next week?
let's do it.
Monday or Tuesday?
And it'll be Zoom, of course.
Yep. And it's gonna fall to just us. 2 who are leaving us can't really vote then. Correct?
Correct.
Just barely have a quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4.
If Ernie's going to be able to be here.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't vote tonight on the meeting.
No, I'm just saying to have a quorum, we got to have Ernie too.
Right, but I meant we can't schedule a meeting if we don't have a quorum right now, but we would. We do have 4.
Right.
We'll
Okay.
have as long as trustee Winslow can make it, we would have 5. If
But I mean, right now.
Yeah.
Because would our 2 current board members vote on scheduling a meeting they're not going to be at,
No, I would hope not.
right, Roger?
Typically not.
Okay, so the 4 of us have to decide when to meet next week.
On the 23rd or the 24th, is that what you're saying?
Whatever, any day next week.
Either day is okay with me.
Me too.
Me 3.
In the afternoon for me, anytime after 2 o'clock.
I'll just
Okay.
stay away from the 24th. That's
Yeah.
the tree lighting.
Yeah,
23rd's fine for me, if in
23rd
afternoon.
at 2 o'clock?
Monday, John? Monday's okay?
Monday the 23rd?
Yep, at 2? Or do you want after 2?
No, I just can't meet on Wednesday.
Okay, Dan, does that work for you? Monday at 2?
I'm sorry, but it's very broken up.
Yeah, you're breaking up too. Oh, something reset.
See his name there, but I think we
Okay.
might have, oh, there he is.
I was gone for a second, but now it was all broken up and I could not hear dates or anything. I'm sorry.
Monday, the 23rd at 2.
Monday, the 23rd at 2.
Does that work?
That works for me.
Trustee Winslow's listening in and she will be officially a board member. So you might want to ask her if that's okay with her.
That sounds reasonable. Can you hear us, Linda?
She's muted.
Yeah, she's here, but I don't know if she can.
She could be.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I'll attempt to be there at 2. Correct.
Don't attempt, be there.
By
With my
Zoom, by Zoom.
children.
All right, special meeting, Monday, 23rd at 2 PM to decide the process of filling the open board seat.
I will so move on that.
Support,
Okay, roll call?
Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Marks.
yes.
Correct, Roger, the outgoing board members can still vote on this. It's not going to affect them at all, or should they?
There's no reason for them to this.
Well, they can abstain then, so.
That would probably be the most technically correct thing to do.
Okay, so trustee Everson,
Yes.
trustee LaRue,
Abstain.
okay, trustee Wiegand,
And I'll abstain.
and supervisor Durant.
Yes.
So that motion carries 4-0, 1 absent and 2 abstaining. So that carries.
You almost have to use all your fingers on that one, hey?
Yeah, we still had a quorum with the 2 abstaining, so it worked.
Yep.
So I'll get that posted, and I have till Friday to get that posted. So I'll get that posted and the Zoom link out for that ASAP.
Oops, I put October 23rd. I'm good. 2 PM. Okay. Thank you. Anything else on that? Okay. Consider 2021 for health insurance renewal. Mr. John, you moved around again.
Still here. Hopefully everyone received the email I sent last Thursday that shows the renewals in detail. I did not put those in the board packet because they do have personal information on it for the employees involved in the plans. The AFSCME plan has a 2.92% increase, and you might recall in the budget process, former manager Gerard assumed 5%, so we're well within that budgeted amount, which is good. And then the admin plan is 2.84%, so again, well within the budgeted amount. And Lois and I will hopefully be getting those final numbers together. We had originally discussed just leaving them as the budgeted 5% amount, but we have several other minor revisions we have to make, including the 2.5% adjustments that were approved at the last meeting and during the last budget. No, not the budget work session. It was coming out of the last budget work session for the planning, zoning, and board of review. So we can get all of these changes in there if you agree to renew as presented.
Okay. What we need is a motion then to approve the health insurance renewal as presented.
I'll support.
For the year 2021.
Yeah.
I just thought that should be in there.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments? Okay, Randy, roll call?
Trustee Marks,
Yes.
clerk retires, yes. Trustee Everson,
Yes.
trustee LaRue,
Yes.
trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
and supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
Okay, that was easy.
Nice to see it go down for a change, though.
Single digits, unreal.
I know mine went down also, and I was very happy about that.
I remember when we were looking at double digits while I've been on the board.
Yeah.
Nasty. Okay, that's good. Consider hazard pay for clerk's assistant. Randy.
Okay, so it's in my background sheet here, but when I did talk about the election workers in previous elections, we adjusted their wage for hazard pay basically, and I bumped it up. In that time, I did forget about my assistant that exposed herself to the public in the last 2 elections and just was compensated irregular wages for that. And I'm asking for $200 hazard pay, which I think is fairly reasonable. And some of the grant that I have will cover that. So it's really not coming from the township budget for that.
If that's a motion, I'll support it.
I'll second.
Okay,
Any questions? Okay, roll call?
clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee LaRue,
Yes.
trustee Marks,
Yes,
trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
trustee Everson,
Yes.
and supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent. Thank you, and my assistant will be appreciative of the little bit of amount that we can give her for helping out and doing a great job during the election. So I'll let her know tomorrow.
Great. How about public comment? Any emails, Randy?
I have none.
Okay. Do we have anybody listening that would like to make a comment before we go on? Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you. Any announcements anybody wants to share? Yes, Randy.
Okay, I got in the mail the other day our certified results from the county for the election, and they're signed by the County Board of Canvassers. So they are official now. So our election in the township was supervisor was Lynn Durant, clerk was Randy Rattari, township treasurer was Ernie Johnson, and the trustees were Dan Everson, John Marks, and Linda Winslow. And our library millage renewal passed with the vote count 1831 to 612 no. And our recreation millage passed 1634 yes to 792 no. So those are the certified results from the Marquette County Board of Canvassers.
Interesting.
And further on, at least in Marquette Township, I can debunk the rumors of election fraud that's going around right now. I don't know if the public understands, but our election workers, we have a Republican and a Democrat that do work as poll workers, and they do monitor everything that goes on in the precinct. Also, we did have a couple folks from the Republican Party that were poll watchers / challengers, and they watched also. So everything was done above board, and there was nothing unusual that happened during the election. So just to report to our residents that everything went well here. There was no fraud, and I debunked those rumors locally of fraud because I know my fellow clerks are just as pursuant as me in getting things done right and correctly. So I'm just kind of uneasy about the fraud allegations that have not been substantiated anywhere. So that's just my comment on it.
Good to know. Pete?
I'd like to thank Randy and staff and all the people who volunteered. They did a great job. And thank you, Randy.
That was a lot of hard work, something different this year. John?
I just wanted to say that there was a press release from Governor Whitmer's office that came out not 10 minutes ago, indicating that 2 Republican members of the Wayne County Board of Canvassers have placed partisan politics above their legal duty to certify the election results. But under Michigan law, the Board of State Canvassers will now finish the job, and the governor is expecting that the results will be certified soon.
There was a question on Michigan's, yeah.
That was Wayne County,
Oh, yeah, okay.
which is Detroit.
Anything else on that? Okay. Manager's report.
Okay, well, I'm happy to say that I have not spent as much time dealing with COVID this week as I had the prior let's call it month and a half, staying on top of all the new rules. As you all know, over 190 executive orders were invalidated by the state Supreme Court not too long ago. Those were shortly replaced by emergency orders from MDHHS and MIOSHA, which really put us in a tough spot as far as staying compliant. And a couple of weeks ago, we started hearing rumors that MIOSHA was going to announce enforcement of their new rules in office settings. And I did see a press release on TV6 last Thursday, I believe it was, and I forwarded you all the link, basically saying just that MIOSHA was going to focus on office settings because they were seeing a lot of outbreaks in that type of environment. I want to be clear that we had taken as many precautions as we reasonably could, and maybe then some, to protect all of the employees that had been coming to work every day. A couple of weeks ago, we put all of the office staff on rotating shifts where only half of them would be coming each week, and then the following week, the other half would be here. Late last week, after the MIOSHA announcement did come out, we basically returned to a remote work status for all non-critical staff, let's call them. I don't want to say non-essential, because saying non-essential gives the assumption that we didn't need them in the first place, and that's not the case. We still need all hands on deck. That being said, all staff are sending me daily reports of what they're conducting from their remote status. And I will say, if anyone's interested in what's going on, I'd be happy to share with you what everyone's working on every day. It's actually been pretty enlightening for myself. So wanted to let you know, if you drive by and see an empty parking lot, that's why. We're trying to stop the spread by stopping the movement of our employees. One of the instructions I gave them is personal responsibility. That's what we're expecting when they're on township time. So if we send you home to work, that means you're not going and socializing with a bunch of people, or running out to the store and potentially either getting exposed to the virus or exposing somebody else to the virus. The idea is to stop the spread by stopping the movement of the carrier. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. We are still expecting everyone to be accountable. And I think for the most part, everyone has done a great job of reporting back. I don't always get every report the day of, but the following morning, if I didn't get it the night before, I do have it in my inbox the next morning. So interesting times, there's no doubt about that. And I will say, for those of us that are still coming into the office, it's myself, and then Lois and Andra are kind of rotating every other day, just because that's about the best way that they can stay on top of the work that they need to do, and it can only do here. So that's why you'll only likely see 2 cars in the parking lot unless Clerk or Tari happens to be here, or somebody stops by to pick something up. I guess that's really about it, other than remember next Tuesday, of course, is the tree lighting ceremony. This will be my first experience. And I hope we can have at least a little bit of excitement for the kids in the year that we've had to cancel just about every event that could have happened this year.
Anything for the manager? Questions, Pete?
John, I see Lisa is out there watching the meeting. I wish that Lisa would call you tomorrow and get the facts of the Christmas event, so we get it out to the people, because our posters we're gonna have to, they're not, the posters are no good anymore. And we have to get it out to the public, what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it in a safe way. So if you and Lisa could talk before she prints out a report for the paper, that would help us a lot, Lisa. I still owe you a lot of water and a lot of mints, but that's not going to happen.
If she wants to email me too, I know we've had really good luck putting stories together that way in the past. JON Kangas at marquettetownship.org. Um, whatever is easiest for her.
Yeah.
Or I could try reaching out to her by phone too.
Because we're running out of time and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but if we can get the basics down, I think that would help us out and she could help us.
I know
I'll
she
send you
always
an
asks-
email.
Pardon
Okay,
me?
Sorry.
as a good reporter, you always ask the right questions, so I think that works well.
Said she'll send you an email.
Thanks, Lisa.
Anything else? Okay. Randy, you want to review the motions?
Okay, so the first of the evening was to approve the consent agenda as presented, and that was approved. Second motion was to approve the regular agenda as presented, and that was approved. The third motion of the evening was to reluctantly accept Mike Springer's resignation, and that was approved. Fourth motion was to approve the purchase of the new Landia pump, and that was approved. The fifth motion was to schedule a special meeting on Monday, November 23rd at 2 p.m. And the purpose will be for discussion of the new board seat, how we're going to fill that. That's approved. And sixth motion of the evening was to consider the 2021 health insurance renewal, and that was approved. Seventh motion of the evening was to approve $200 for hazard pay for the clerk's assistant, and that was approved. And that is it. We did have an action item on here. The action item was to allow the supervisor and the manager to move forward with Civic Plus to get that ball rolling. That's not a motion, but an action item.
Roger, would you be interested or available to attend that Zoom on Monday?
Yeah, I can do that.
If just how that it would keep our ducks in a row. If that's very, I'd appreciate it.
Was that 2 p.m.?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
thank you. All right. So for future agenda, at least right now, we expect the budget public hearing on the December 1st agenda. That's all I have there. So how about board member comment? Dave?
Yeah, I'd like to start out by thanking the board. This is my last meeting. It's been a privilege, and let the residents know that it's been a privilege to serve on the board for the last 4 years. And then just to clarify a few issues, I guess the reason I am not going to seek that appointment or not going to continue on is because of some issues that are going on with the COVID-19 and some health issues that are going on with my granddaughter downstate. It's just time to spend a little more time with the family and less time moving in different directions. Having said that, just to let the board know that in addition to my board position being over on the November 20th, as a board appointed commissioner to the Planning Commission, that is also over on November 20th. And then to let them know that I won't be seeking a reappointment for the Rec or the Road Committee on December 31st, but I will finish out the term.
Thank you for that. Okay,
And that's it. Thanks.
any other board member comment? Randy?
Yeah, as I've done this before, I'd like to thank Pete and Dave. This is Pete's last meeting also, unless he seeks to return, but Dave and Pete did a great job the last 4 years. And again, like I said before, they were very good board members to deal with. We didn't always agree, but we were respectful in how we disagreed. And there was nothing that we ever got very personal with or anything. And I really appreciate that with those board members, because sometimes it can get pretty ugly at the board table at times if we got members that can't work together. So just like to thank them for being respectful and doing a great job for the last 4 years.
Pete?
Yes, also I'd like to thank everybody on the board, the staff, and the residents have made it so easy to do a lot of things that we wanted to get done. Also that I have, my term is up for the rec committee, the road committee, the events and the board, so. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it for the last 10 years. And looking forward to watching the township go and grow. So thank you very much, everybody.
Anybody else? Dan?
I'm the newest board member and I've enjoyed my 4 years and it's been a pleasure working with you guys, Pete and Dave, and I wish things were different where we could keep you here for another 4 years. I think you're very good for the township, very good for all of our residents, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Boy, I agree completely. John, anything? Mr. Marks,
Yes,
any comment?
I just want to make a comment that with Pete and Dave, you could always depend on their vote always being totally in the interest of the township. Each time that they voted, while they voted in a way that I thought they should vote or not, it didn't matter. I always knew that Dave and Pete kept the highest regard for this township, and that's how they acted. And I thank them for that.
Thank
Boy,
you, John.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I did have that on my notes too. They know that I harassed and harangued them for the last few months. Will you please stay on? We need you. Please come back. Consider the board appointment. I called them, I don't know how many times, and we looked at the write-in candidates and tried to figure out how that would work. And yeah, and it wasn't just because I didn't want to go find out some other people to fill those slots. They too have contributed immensely to the township, if not physically with all the projects and the park, just their support. It's been wonderful. And I didn't want to have Mike and his award overshadow what you two have accomplished because, it's different sitting behind that table. You know that now. It's way different being an actual board member and standing at the podium or even doing this. And I also want to thank Linda for her willingness to participate. Excuse me. So I'm looking forward to having a new board member and trying to fill that seat. And I did finally got Linda's phone number yesterday. So I'll give you a call and we can visit and make sure you've got what you need, or if you have any questions. This is kind of like getting on a bike and starting all over again. It'll all come back to you, but things are different now. So whatever I can do to help to make that easier, just give me a call. I'll make sure you get my phone number. I think that's all. That's all I wanted to say.
Hey, Lynn,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to thank Dave for all the stuff that we've done together. Mike, Dave, myself, and all the other things. I never did like Dave anyways, but I mean, he just always hollers at me.
Yeah.
But
There must be a reason.
I do appreciate it. Look, he's laughing. He's laughing. Look at that. No, I really enjoyed it, Dave. Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Dave?
I'll just say to Pete that just showing up because I knew he was going to let me holler at him made the whole thing worthwhile anyway.
But that's what makes things go. That's what makes it work. An attitude like that. And that's what you need in this township. And I think we've had it for a long time. And I think it will continue on. And what a great thing. I just wish my body would have held up. I would have helped him more. But I don't know. He wore us right down. I'll tell you that.
That's what you had Mike for, though. He was the younger, brawny guy.
Yeah, but he wasn't very nice to me either.
Wait a minute. Mike's the younger guy. He beat me by like 6 months.
Well, thank you both. I'll tell you, you made it enjoyable.
We appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Nothing else, then we're gonna have to go into a closed session and shut this board meeting down temporarily.
Yeah, so I will move to go into a closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268 subsection H. Consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute, but no, the board is not permitted to go into closed session to discuss an attorney's oral opinion as opposed to a written legal memorandum, which includes written opinion subject to attorney-client privileges. And that's the motion.
Support.
Go ahead with roll call.
Okay, Clerk Rattars, yes. Trustee Marks,
Yes.
Trustee LaRue,
Yes,
Trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
Trustee Everson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent. We are in closed session at 8:23 PM. And I'll get the recording off here. Hold
Mike,
on.
let me know how you want to get your plaque. Just text me or give me a call or something. I'll have it here.
Okay, we are back in open session at 9:17 PM.
Okay, we just need a motion, one last one.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll support.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee LaRue,
Yes,
Clerk Rattars, yes. Trustee Wiegand.
My last official vote is gonna be no.
Okay, no. Wants to stay longer. Trustee Everson.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Marks
Yes.
and Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Okay. Motion approved, 6-0, or excuse me, 5-1 and one absent.
You're making
Yeah.
him work for his money tonight, Dave.
So
I want you guys
9:18.
to know this has been fun.
It's been great. That's why I didn't want you to leave. But I understand.
9:18, we are adjourned.
Okay.